Am I a bad person if I didn't care how edible he thought the food was? The meat was older than my daughter. That's kind of funny. Would I be the a-hole for not comforting and visiting my girlfriend after she's been sprayed by a skunk? Tell the sex police to calm down. Hey guys, welcome to Honey Hearts. I'm V, and today you're in for a surprise with our Reddit readings. In fact, the theme for today's episode is surprise, surprise. In all of our stories, we're going to have some element of surprise, whether good or bad. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about surprises, but I, for one, love them. I think they're a really fun and cute and affectionate way of showing someone you care and spicing things up. I know some people are not that big of a fan of surprises because they want to know everything that's going on and they want to be prepared for it first. So let's see in these stories how OP will deal with some of these surprises. So our first story is from the subreddit AITA. Am I the a-hole for dumping my boyfriend after he got a surprise from his ex? So, we've been together for just over 13 months. Me, female age 27, were planning on moving in together in about 4 months when Luke, male 29 years old, leases up. We've been to loads of events together: weddings, engagement parties, birthdays, even his grandparents' wedding anniversary party. We were due to attend his friend's wedding in a neighboring country. Ooh, destination wedding, that sounds fun. When a few weeks before, he told me he didn't want me to go. It was just as I was booking my flights. I asked why, and he said I would be bored. I know his friend group well, so it's not like I wouldn't know anyone. Anyway, despite many heated discussions, he was adamant. My alarm bells are ringing. Okay, you're telling me you guys have been to multiple weddings, like engagement parties, family events together, but this particular wedding for a friend, and he's saying, no, babe, you'd be bored. I get it if he just doesn't want her to waste money on the flights or she doesn't really know the friend. So maybe that's it. But it seems a little bit weird that she's willing to go and he's just saying, no, 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 don't go. OP continues, this left a bad taste in my mouth and I felt something was off. So 7 of my friends and I decided to go for a break at the beach while he was gone and then extended it to a full week. My friend, Jem's parents, had a house at the beach less than 2 hours drive away and the weather was supposed to be good, so we were excited. We were leaving on Wednesday and due back the following Wednesday morning early and going straight to work. I didn't even bother telling my boyfriend. Honestly, it felt like he wouldn't care, and I was on the brink of breaking up with him, but decided to enjoy the beach break first. So it seems like Opie's fine with not going after all. She's gonna go on a beach trip with her friends, which I'll be honest, that sounds like a lot more fun than going to a destination wedding of someone maybe you weren't that close with anyway, and probably cheaper. Smart thinking on her part, though, to not break up with him, I guess, right before he's going to the wedding and she's going on her trip and waiting a week so that they're not kind of going back and forth or having a whole tit for tat or argument over text prior to that. So I think it's a good move. It seems like OP's very chill. She's got her priorities in order. She's already decided what she's going to do. OP continues, I get a call from Anna, female, 26 years old, out of the blue. Anna was the girlfriend of my boyfriend's best friend, Sam, 29 years old. We'd been due to travel with them. She overheard Luke talking to Sam. Sam was asking if he really wasn't going to bring me to the wedding. Luke said yes, because his ex Lucy, late 20s, I think, had finally RSVP'd that she was going and had really delayed on it. She texted Luke and told him she couldn't wait to see him again and had a surprise for him. They'd broken up 3 years ago and she lived abroad, and they kept in touch a little as far as I knew. Ooh, okay. Sam, the boyfriend, doesn't want OP to go to the destination wedding because he's hoping to meet up with an old flame, Lucy, who is texting him and saying, oh, I got a surprise for you. Okay, let's be honest here. I know I am pre-diagnosing the situation already from the get-go, but what ex is going to text the ex-boyfriend out of the blue and say, hey, can't wait to see you at the wedding. I got a surprise for you. When is that ever a good thing? Are they going to rekindle their relationship? Are they going to meet up again? What's going on here? And it is setting off huge red flags. And I'm glad that OP already made the decision to break up with Sam before this. But he's literally saying the reason why he doesn't want to bring his girlfriend is because he's hoping to rekindle some sort of surprise romance with Lucy. No, I am glad the OP has made her decision. OP continues. Luke was convinced the surprise was sex, as this had been some sort of running joke with them when they dated. Anyway, he didn't want me there messing up his chance of having sex with Lucy. He said it was a once off, but he had to do it. Well, that was enough for me. I knew I would be dumping him, but didn't want a week of him texting or harassing me to forgive him while I was at the beach, so I held off until we got back. Good on you, OP. That's so upsetting, though. It's not like they only met each other for a few months. Luke and OP at this point have been dating for over a year. And this is your behavior? Trash. Although, kudos to Amy. Amy is the real MVP here because Amy's the girlfriend of Sam. Wait, no. Yes, okay. Amy is the girlfriend of Sam, who is Luke's best friend, and Luke is the boyfriend. She is watching out for her fellow girls. I love it because Anna didn't really need to text OP and let her know that, hey, this is what I heard my boyfriend and your boyfriend talking about. This is why he doesn't want you at the wedding. This is what's really going on. Like, just warning you, girl. I love that. The girl code is alive and well here. OP continues. On Tuesday, Luke texted and said he was sleeping over at mine until Thursday, as he would be leaving early Friday morning and would be gone until Sunday. He didn't ask, just told me. Ew. Ew. Even between partners, if you want to stay at someone's house, I feel like it's common courtesy to just say, hey, babe, is it okay if I stay over for a few days before I head out for the wedding? No, just, oh, I'll be there. I mean, what about consideration for the other person's plans? I don't know about you guys. I'm not a big fan of people dropping by unexpectedly for long extended visits. In theory, it's a nice idea, but I feel weird about it because even with my parents, right? If they drop by unexpectedly, I still want to look somewhat presentable. I don't want to completely look like a nut, okay? I pretty much, my outfit for when I'm at home is just loungewear, PJs, very casual outfits. So if guests are coming by, I want to have a chance to clear up the space a little bit, to be presentable, brush my hair, and not look like a nut. So don't drop by unexpectedly, especially if you want to stay for multiple days. I don't know, even with a partner, he needs to ask. OP continues. I replied that he couldn't as I was leaving very early on Wednesday morning for a week's vacation and would see him next week. Told him not to worry about keeping in touch because I was planning to be phone free on my vacation as much as possible. He asked why I hadn't told him I was going on vacation, and I just said I thought I had. He wanted to know who I was going with and 100 other questions. I told him we would talk when I got back, that I was busy packing and to enjoy the wedding, and I hoped it was full of surprises for him. He didn't reply. Ooh, I see what OP did there. She went, I hope the wedding is full of surprises for you. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Okay, if boyfriend had any brains at all, he should be finding this behavior odd. Other than his partner not telling him that she had extended her whole vacation from a few days to a full week, other than that, the whole, hey, don't worry about keeping in touch with me for the week. Don't need to contact me. You do you. Have fun at the wedding. Hope it's full of surprises. I know it's through text and he can't hear her tone, but you're telling me he didn't pick up some sort of underlying, she's acting kind of strange. My girlfriend's acting a little bit weird. Come on. OP replies, we had a fantastic vacation. The rain held off and we stayed on the beach all day and hit nightclubs and local bars and restaurants at night. I didn't post on social media, but was certainly tagged in a lot of pics. He texted me a few times Thursday and Friday, but just general, flight's leaving now and I got here okay type of stuff. But on Saturday, the day of the wedding, he really texted and called a lot. The texts were all about how he missed me and made a mistake about not bringing me. I didn't reply and didn't answer any calls. Same on Sunday. Then he got home on Sunday night and wanted to join us at the beach. I told him no, he would just be bored. Something happened. Something definitely happened. Because you're telling me he went from not texting her the whole week to all of a sudden, day of the wedding, babe, I love you. I miss you. It's just suspicious, you know? Knowing that context, this whole behavior just seems off. OP continues. I told him no, he would just be bored. So Sunday night, Anna rang me and couldn't stop laughing. His ex, Lucy, turned up to the restaurant Friday to the group dinner, and her surprise was that she was 7 months pregnant with her new husband's baby, and her shiny new husband was with her. I love it. I love it. Lucy, I had some negative thoughts about you before, girl, but that's a good prank. That's a good prank. Okay, so there is no way that Lucy had a nice little breakup with Luke because you're telling me she had this whole thing elaborately planned, texting him, "Hey, can't wait to see you at the wedding. There's a surprise for you." And da da da. Her surprise is her pregnancy and her new boyfriend. Oh, wait, no, sorry, her new husband. I love it. Lucy, that's a good move. That's a bold move and that's a good move. Jokes on Luke. OP continues. Lucy played a cruel but hilarious prank on him, but it also ended our relationship. But I was grateful to Lucy for showing me who he really was. Luke arrived to mine. I'm assuming OP means Luke arrived to her place. Luke arrived to my place Wednesday after I got back and was love bombing me, telling me how much he missed me and apologizing again. At that point, I told him I knew why he didn't bring me and that his surprise wasn't sex, but a pregnant ex and her husband. So I told him it was over. He planned to cheat even if he didn't get a chance to. I was laughing at how Lucy pranked him, but honestly, I was still hurting on the inside. Oh, OP. I mean, yeah, it's still gonna sting. It's still gonna sting. But I'm glad that OP's taking it as best as she possibly can and at least getting somewhat of a little laugh out of the situation. OP says he tried to get me to change my mind because he hadn't actually cheated, but I wouldn't. Am I the a hole for dumping him even though he didn't actually cheat? Ugh! The nerve, the shamelessness, the audacity. You know what? The shameless award of the year goes to Luke. Are you kidding me? The lack of self awareness is kind of astonishing for me because on what grounds do you have to tell your girlfriend, please don't dump me? I didn't actually cheat. I planned to. It didn't work out though. Not by my choice. It didn't work out though. So please, can we stay together, pretty please? Ah, gross. And the fact that he had wanted to stay at her place for a few days and use her place until he went to the wedding to meet up with the ex is astonishing. I think the true MVPs here are definitely Anna for letting OP know the whole situation, what she heard. And Lucy is hilarious. Lady, you are a genius. You played a hilarious prank on him. Let's see some of the comments. First comment, Anna's a real friend for looking out for you. So true. Anna is the real hero here. Another comment, Lady Karma outdid herself with this one. Not the a-hole and have Anna give Lucy your thanks. I agree. I love this for OP. I think OP is on the right track to better things in life, clearly. I like that she got a chance to enjoy her beach trip, take her mind off the situation, didn't have to bother with this whining now ex, and got to enjoy her little vacation and get rid of the trash, literally. I don't think she's an a hole at all. The whole situation is really justified because his intentions were already there to cheat. One might argue, hey, there's a difference between intention and what actually happens. But in this case, I don't honestly think there's a difference. He was planning to fully 100% commit to it. He said himself. The only reason why he didn't go through with it was because of Lucy. The other party wasn't down for it. So easy, not the hole for me. The jury has spoken. Just as the jury has spoken and given their thoughts on this story, I hope you guys will let me know what you think as well. And don't forget to comment your thoughts in the comments, guys. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot, guys. All right, onwards to the second story. Next one is from the subreddit AITA. Am I the a-hole for not caring about my son and daughter-in-law being intimate at night in their own home? Let me do a little foreshadowing. I'm guessing this is from the mom's perspective because she's speaking about her son and daughter-in-law. Now, usually I'm thinking, okay, is this a PDA situation? Because I try to tone down PDA when I'm with parents, other people, or in public in general. I'm not a super PDA type of person. I think holding hands is fine, hugs are fine, typical couple things. I wouldn't do anything beyond that though. Two questions I have. One, when they say, okay, son and daughter in law were seen being intimate, how much intimacy are we talking about here? Because that matters. And also, if it's in their own home, it makes me wonder who's in the wrong here and who did the intruding. Because if they were being intimate in their own home, I can see a lot of situations where, okay, maybe it's not their fault. So let's get into it. OP says, for context, everyone in this situation is South Asian, so elements of a very conservative mindset are involved here. My son, 26-year-old male, and daughter in law, 25-year-old female, were both raised in America. My husband, 57-year-old male, and I, 54-year-old female, have both lived in America for almost 20 years now. And my cousin, 65-year-old male, lives in our native country. Ah, okay. Okay. So I can see there's that dynamic of maybe you have a more conservative household or family members that might feel more offended. OP continues, my son and daughter in law got married 6 months ago. My daughter in law is an amazing person. She's the kindest, sweetest, and most loving person I know, and I'm really happy that my son is with her. She's also approximately 10 to 11 weeks pregnant with their first child. Aw, this is so refreshing. In previous episodes, we've seen a lot of chaotic daughter in law and mother in law relationships. So it's really nice to see that they get along. And clearly, there's a lot of love involved here because mother in law is just showering daughter in law with compliments. I love that for them. OP continues. Recently, my cousin and his wife were visiting his daughter's family, who lives about 2 hours away from my son and daughter in law. They couldn't attend the wedding, and my son and daughter in law offered to have them over for a night. From what my son tells me, he only wanted to have them over for dinner to minimize the stress on daughter in law during the pregnancy. But my daughter in law insisted that they stay the night, and she promised to make them a nice breakfast before they left the following morning. Oh, that's sweet. Okay, so son and daughter in law sound like wonderful hosts. They're saying, you know what, stay the night, we'll take care of you, we'll cook you a breakfast the next morning. Oh my gosh, can I stay at their house? They seem like wonderful hosts. OP continues, I got a call from my cousin the next morning after they left my son and daughter in law's home, and he said that his wife woke up late at night to get some water and bumped into my son in the hallway, and his face was covered in lipstick kisses. My cousin said that he and his wife didn't feel comfortable staying at their place because of this, and then went on to comment that I didn't raise my son right and called my daughter in law a whore and some other nasty things. Okay, I'm ready to kick the cousin and wife out. They don't need to be there. If they're not comfortable, they can get out. Are you serious? I thought it was going to be something so saucy, so crazy. They're triggered because the wife in the middle of the night went to get water and accidentally saw the son in the hallway who had lipstick kisses on his face. That is not even the most saucy thing that they could possibly have stepped in on. I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, did they hear crazy moans? Did they accidentally witness something chaotic happening in the living room or the kitchen? Something that's more spicy?" But come on. Let me tell you guys something. I have read my fair share of romance books. I'm telling you, light novels, regular literature, romance literature, anime, manga, you name it, I read it. This does not even touch upon the very tip of being saucy, spicy, or not safe for work. Come on, it's just lipstick kisses. Is that really something to be uncomfortable over? And it's not like you overheard anything else. You just saw something and it's like, oh, okay, that's it. The right reaction, I think, would have been to say, oh, if I was the aunt, I would have, wait, no, the cousin, right? Okay, the cousin's wife. If I was the cousin's wife, if I saw that, I stayed over at my family member's place and they housed me and were generous and they were going to feed me breakfast in the morning. And I saw that, I would have been like, oh, okay, they're having a good time. And then I would have minded my own business, grabbed my glass of water, and you know what? Went back to sleep. That would not have kept me up at night. The thought would have literally left my brain in 5 seconds after I got to the bed and went, all right, time to rest. So I can open up my eyes to yummy breakfast made by, I guess, my family member. I don't know if that makes them their cousin or whatever, but it's not that big of a deal. You just saw kiss marks. It's not like you saw his face full of crazy hickeys and bondage tools or whatever. So I think cousin and wife definitely blew up the situation way more than necessary. It's not that deep. If they were just uncomfortable, I would say, okay, well, you have a right to be uncomfortable just because maybe you're not close with them and you don't really want to know about that, which is fine too. It's totally fine to not want to know what your cousin's up to. I get it. Being uncomfortable, you can say that that's fair, you know? But to then call up their mom? Son and daughter in law are both in their mid 20s, married, in their home. So it seems like they are far from having such a scandalous relationship. Why is it keeping you up all night? And then you want to call their mom? To what? To tattle on them? Oh my gosh, I saw something heinous that happened that your son and your daughter in law were doing last night. What are we in kindergarten? And to call daughter in law a whore? Okay, that I think it speaks volumes about the cousin and his wife's character more so than son and daughter in law. You're calling her out for what? For having intimacy with her husband? Look, guys, I also grew up in a very conservative South Asian household, right? I can't imagine any of my relatives ever feeling compelled enough or triggered enough. Actually, no, I take that back. I take that back. Some of my relatives might be nosy enough. I don't think it would be too far for son and daughter in law to just disassociate from them and just not be in contact with them any longer. Obi continues, I spoke to my son and he corroborated my cousin's wife's story. I literally do not care about what my cousin's wife saw. You go, mom. My son and his wife were doing whatever they wanted to in their own home, and sure, they had guests, but clearly they didn't wake anyone up, and it was late enough that the reasonable expectation would be that any guest would be asleep. Secondly, rather than showing any appreciation for my son and daughter in law for having them over, or for my daughter in law's otherworldly cooking, I love mom. This is such a side note, but I love mom here. She is standing up for her kids, she's standing by them. I love it. Opie continues, they want to comment on a married couple doing married couple things and degrade and insult my daughter in law. I told my cousin this, and he and his wife think I'm being ridiculous and not understanding his and his wife's feelings. He has told his siblings, my other cousins, and they are staying out of this conversation. Am I the a hole? Oh, for a 65 something year old couple, they're acting like children. You tried to tattle to the mom, to your cousin. You tried to tattle to your cousin about what your niece and nephew were essentially doing or whatever, right? And she didn't go your way, so now you're going to go and start tattling and yelling out your point of view down the family line, hoping to rally more support for yourself. Why are you spreading the story all over the place? It's not that deep. They seem to have too much time on their shoulders. Maybe they should consider focusing on themselves more and their own character. Let's see what the comments say. First comment, not the whole. It's not like your cousin was woken up in the middle of the night to the sounds of orgasmic screams shaking the bed. They only saw some lipstick on his face when they passed in the hall. Tell the sex police to calm down. I agree. I couldn't have said it better myself. I really did think that we were going to be stumbling on some crazy 50 Shades of Grey scene from the movie. But no, it's literally just lipstick stains. It would be really funny if the couple wasn't actually doing anything intimate. But what if, I'm just saying, it would be really funny if wife was actually a makeup artist or a YouTuber on the side who does makeup and she was testing different looks on her husband or something. Or they're both into cosplay, or they're really into doing the sexy and involving lipstick. That's fine too. But I'm just saying it would be hilarious if they completely misread the situation. Another comment, not that a cut contact with that weird, ungrateful cousin. I would fully expect people going to Southeast Asia to adapt to the culture, but cousins should do the same in return. Also, calling your daughter in law that is disgusting. Even dumber since she's married. I agree. I know OP prefaced this with the whole their family is South Asian, so there is that conservative mindset involved, but I don't think that's playing as big of a part as OP thinks. I think this is really just cousin and the wife having their own prejudices and weird and narrow-minded views and pushing it onto son and daughter-in-law and maybe using the disguise and kind of covering it up with the whole, oh, they're conservative. I think it's important to, if you were to travel to South Asia, you do want to respect their culture and their views and not kind of place your own values above theirs and people who are living there and your family members who are already living there, right? I think the same should apply if they go to visit you in your home and observe you in your culture without their heavy judgment slapping you in the face. It should go both ways, right? You know what? The audacity, I bet that they sat there in the morning too, didn't say anything to son or daughter-in-law directly to their face, sat there eating that wonderful, scrumptious breakfast daughter-in-law prepared for them, didn't say a word, and then scurried back to their room to make this whole panic call to their mom and say, "Oh my gosh, you'll never believe what your son and daughter were doing." Yes, they were being intimate in their home at night. Big whoop. All right, next story, we got another surprise heading your way, but this surprise might be a little stinky. This story is from the subreddit AITA. Would I be the a-hole for not comforting and visiting my girlfriend after she's been sprayed by a skunk? I'm not gonna lie. The headline already cracks me up. I want to immediately jump to, yes, you're an a-hole, but at the same time, what's the comfort that's being required here? Because when I think of comforting someone, I'm thinking of giving someone a hug or physical touch, right? But in this specific case, if you've been sprayed by a skunk, you can't tell me that you would automatically want to reach for your partner and comfort them physically if they are legit doused in skunk. Let's see what OP has to say. My 21-year-old male girlfriend, 20-year-old female, has been having a hard time lately, and we have planned to spend some time together tonight to hopefully cheer her up. Oh man, I already feel bad for the girlfriend. I can see where this is headed. You're telling me she was already having a bad day, bad week, whatever, and then the whole skunk situation comes about. Girl, one might say that your day stinks. Literally and metaphorically. I'm sorry, guys. The pun was there. I had to take it, okay? Well, apparently her bad week has just turned worse because as of about an hour ago, I was informed she got herself sprayed twice by a skunk today that she stumbled into behind the shed in her backyard. I shouldn't be laughing. It's a miserable experience, I'm sure. I've never been sprayed by a skunk personally, but it sounds horrible. I would not wish this on my worst enemy. You know, actually, no, I take it back. I would. This seems like one of those really harmless but terrible pranks. Also, what are the odds that someone gets sprayed by a skunk? And how often does a skunk spray? Is anyone a skunk expert here? You guys will have to tell me. Because I'm thinking it's a defense mechanism. So skunks, if they get spooked, they'll just spray. And how accurate is the spray we're talking about? Are we talking about they can douse a whole room? Or is it more concentrated? Like, I don't know, like a water gun. Are we talking about like that? How accurate is the spray and what's the coverage area like? I feel so bad for her, girl. OP continues, she's been texting me that she's totally ill and nauseous. She apparently ran straight to the shower and tried to wash it off, but only succeeded in making it worse. And she threw up repeatedly in the shower. Now she's trying to order some things that are said to help, but in the meantime is totally miserable. Oh, I am miserable for you. I am getting secondhand misery from this. See, my only experience with skunk sprays is what I've seen in American cartoons. For whatever reason, it's way more prevalent in kids shows than you would expect. But I don't know if this is true or not. I heard that in order to get rid of the skunk smell, you can't just wash it off with soap. You basically have to mask it with some other intense odor to get rid of it. Like I heard covering yourself with tomato sauce or something, or like scrubbing yourself with tomatoes might help. I don't know if that's true though, or if that's a myth made in American kids cartoons that I happen to see. OP continues, I've tried to comfort her, but I said, quote, I guess we should reschedule then, huh? She said, what? No, I need you now more than ever. You're still coming tonight, right? Oh, OP. OP. I don't know what to say to you. OP has a date with his girlfriend. His girlfriend, unfortunately, was hit by a skunk twice. Not once, but twice. On one hand, I think the relationship obligation kind of says that, oh, you should support your partner in times of need. And I think being sprayed by a skunk is a time of need, guys. On the other hand, when I think about the logistics aspects of how this was all going to go down, I'm imagining that she's sitting in a little hazmat suit on a side, like maybe like 10 feet away from him in the house. And he's just sitting on the other edge of the room. They're shouting to each other like, hey, babe, what? What do you want for dinner? I don't know. You decide. That's how I'm imagining this very unromantic uncomfortable evening as they're trying to avoid the stench? Or is the expectation that the boyfriend will have to come over, comfort her, but he can't touch her, so he'll have to use a glove and kind of just pat her from afar, like, it's okay, babe. We're gonna be all right. And he has like nose plugs in or something, or a mask on. Like, what's the thinking? What's the logistics of this? Opie continues. I told her I wasn't sure how I felt about that. I want to comfort her, and I've never actually smelled skunk. I moved here recently, and there aren't many skunks where I'm from, but that it sounds pretty intense, and I thought I've read that it clings to whatever it touches. I'm not sure I'd want to come if it meant I would stink for days. Oh, no. You know, it's bad enough when something stinks, but you know what the worst type of stench is? The type that lingers, the type that just hangs there and doesn't fade out. Most smells, I feel like they dissipate after a while. You leave it there in a spot, you go back to the same spot after a while, and it's gone. But scents that linger, it's almost like it has its own being. It's alive almost. Oh no. Am I a bad person if I don't think OP is the a-hole for not coming over? Because what can he possibly do? I guess he could offer to buy cans of tomato sauce for her or run a milk bath or something for her, but then he would be infected as well, right? And how does this work with the home? Do you have to quarantine yourself once you've already been skunked? Because if it infects everything you touch, well, I'm thinking the couch, the blankets, the pillows. Is it everywhere in the house? Like, how are these two gonna hang out if she is skunked? Emotionally, it would be lovely if he wanted to be there with her. But realistically, wouldn't you guys just both end up smelling like skunk? Opie continues, she got upset, reminded me I'd promised, and that if we don't spend tonight together, it'll probably be over a week till we can see each other, and that she needs to spend time with me. She said, quote, I'm the one who literally can't get away from the smell. However bad it is for you, it's worse for me. Just put menthol in your nose if it's really that bad, etc. No. You know what this sounds like? Misery loves company. No, because I think if the boyfriend actually comes over, they're just gonna be miserable together. She's not gonna be able to get cheered up by the boyfriend being there. They'll just both be really, really miserable and really, really stinky. I don't think that's fair to say because it's something that happened to her. So then it's not really fair for her to go and put it on him and say, well, suck it up because it's way worse for me. You could kind of choose not to put your partner in the equally bad position, right? I don't know. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think they should try a different method. Maybe video call. Do a video call with each other. But I don't think him being there physically is going to literally help the situation. In fact, I think it will make it worse. It might feel good for the first 5 minutes he's there, like, oh, he cares about me. He came over even though I'm skunked. But then it will fade away really fast because then they'll just be dying of the stench together. Obi says, I'm sort of torn. I want to be there for her, but I also don't want to overestimate my ability to deal with a smell like that, especially when I don't really know what to expect. Would I be the a-hole if I don't go? I never thought I would say this. Being skunked is valid for canceling a date or a hangout. Very valid. And being skunked twice too. OP should stay home. He should probably not go near this area. I'm sorry. You can suggest, you can give emotional support, verbal support. You guys can hop on a video call, but reschedule the dang date. It is not worth risking it for all the work you're going to have to do if you also get skunked. Now, I don't know if you guys are sensitive to smells. I would say I'm pretty sensitive. Like my mom used to joke that when I would come back home from school, when I walked through the door, I could smell what food was cooking. And I'd be like, oh, Mom, are you making boomgru? Which is like a crab, like, I'm wondering what the English translation. I think it's like crab meat noodle soup or crab. No, I'm pretty sure it's crab noodle soup. Basically crab noodle soup. And I'm like, oh, are you making that? And she'd be like, yeah, how did you know? Or even when I'm on the second floor, I'll smell what my mom's cooking and I'll go, oh, can I have some of that? So smells for me is pretty intense. You can only imagine how badly I react to farts, guys. It's not good. I do not enjoy it. Most people don't enjoy it, but I swear I smell it on a different level. So I could only imagine OP trying to overcome the stench to love and comfort his girlfriend in that moment. Let's see what people have to say. First comment, your post is one of the most tragic I've ever read. Both hilarious and awful at the same time. Poor woman, but no way would I ever ask my significant other to come around and comfort me if I were sprayed by a skunk. I agree. I'm definitely torn though. This is one of the most tragic posts I've ever read, guys. Either way, whatever OP chooses, it's a lose-lose situation. If you go, you too will be infected by skunk. If you don't go, your girlfriend's gonna resent you. So it's a lose-lose situation. I feel for OP here. You know what I would suggest though? Do the video call, but then also maybe send her a little care package or something like that to cheer her up, to let her know you're thinking of her. Something like that I feel like would go a long way. Another comment, not the a-hole, I was gonna suggest some ways to help from afar, but she sort of already doomed herself by taking a shower immediately. Oh, really? Comment continues, water makes it worse. It still might be worth a try to help her acquire some tools that she can use now. Oh man, I learned something new. This is useful. This is a big tip. If you're ever sprayed by a skunk, apparently don't wash it off right away. Skunks are pretty cool. Now I think about it, that's a pretty good defense mechanism. Comment continues, the degreasing mixture that can be used to help break down the skunk spray is degreasing hand soap, peroxide, and baking soda. Tomato juice is not helpful. Do not try to source that. I'm sorry, guys. I take back what I said. American kids shows are not a good resource for how to get rid of a skunk smell. I was lied to, and I lied to you. Sorry. Tomato juice does not help. Comment continues, instead, she can wash with hand soap, add the soda to the applied area, and finish with peroxide. It will take multiple applications and scrubbing to even begin to minimize the smell. Perhaps helping her collect some of these items and leaving them for her is a nice compromise since you can no longer visit. That's intense. Oh my gosh, I was joking about the whole wearing a hazmat suit to hang out with other people, but maybe girlfriend will need some sort of suit to encase the smell around her. Another comment, not the a-hole. I don't think you should go. Skunk spray stinks. Bad. I've never met someone who's able to handle it, and by the time you realize how bad it is, it's too late to get away. Why does the description for skunk spray sound like some sort of infection or virus? I feel like this post was tragic, hilarious, but also very informative at the same time. I guess I've learned a few things. One, do not risk it. Do not risk it all. There are moments where you should risk it all. This is not one of those moments. If your significant other unfortunately got sprayed by a skunk, it's over. Leave them behind. Leave them behind and far, far away. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But do help them from far, far, far away. Have you guys ever been sprayed by a skunk? Is that as horrible as everyone's describing it? They're making it sound way worse than kids' cartoons, which is my only reference for this whole situation. All right, that story was a little bit silly. Let's dial back with the next story. Next one is from the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? Am I the a-hole for calling my parents by their first names after they didn't punish my brother for a hurtful comment? Ooh, calling someone by their first names is an insult. Or at the very least, it's a way of saying, hey, I'm pissed at you. Me and my fiance have nicknames for each other and we have things we'll call each other. Like, for example, I'll call him babe most of the time, right? Or honey. Yes, I know, very cheesy. I know some of you guys are already either oohing and eyeing or rolling your eyes, but that's just what we do. But when I'm pissed or we're in an argument, I'll say his name. The same way I know that if he's using my name, either something's really serious or dang it, I'm in trouble. So I don't know if other people are like that, but it just feels weird to call people that you're super, super close to by their full first name. Because generally, even my sister, I have a nickname for her too. So I'm not going to call her like her full name because then she knows, oh, something's up. You know, it's almost like a type of seriousness. You bring a serious tone to it when you're calling someone by their legal first name. So let's see what OP's situation is. I'm 17-year-old male, and I was adopted by my parents, Peter and Jane, when I was 4 years old. They've always been open about my adoption, and I've never felt like they treated me any differently because of it. They have 2 other kids, my siblings, who are 12-year-old male and 9-year-old female. We've always been a close family, and I've always considered Peter and Jane to be my real parents. But last week, I had an argument with my 12-year-old brother. I can't even remember what it started it, but in the middle of it, he suddenly said, quote, Mom and Dad aren't even your real parents. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I know the brother's only 12, but that doesn't justify that comment. That's hurtful. And the fact that it came up with an argument, I hope the parents will jump in and say something about it. Because if you don't stop this sort of thinking and behavior from the beginning when your kids are still young, they're going to carry it into adulthood. OP continues, Hearing that from him hurt more than I can explain. I've always seen him as my little brother, and I never imagined he'd say something so cruel. Afterwards, I went to Peter and Jane expecting them to be as upset as I was. But instead of grounding him or making him apologize, they just said he didn't mean it and probably didn't realize how hurtful it was. They pretty much brushed it off, and that made me feel like my feelings weren't important. Since then, I've been calling them by their first names instead of, quote, mom and dad. I know it's getting on their nerves because they've asked me to stop, but I've refused. I told them I'll stop when they either punish my brother or at least make him apologize for what he said. If he's gonna say that they aren't my real parents, then why should I call them mom and dad? Oh, hard to agree with OP here. Very easy, not the a-hole for me. The fact that his parents aren't backing him up on this is a red flag to me. They're minimizing the situation by saying, oh, he's just young. He doesn't mean it. He probably didn't realize. Well, then make him realize how hurtful it is. Oh, he didn't mean it. Are you living in the brother's brain? Are you in his mind? Are you reading his thoughts? And were you even there for the conversation to analyze and say that? By you acknowledging that and just leaving it out there in the air like that, you're indirectly kind of brushing it off and making it okay to say. There's no consequence for what the younger son said. OP says, now they're upset with me, saying I'm being petty and I'm overreacting. My dad has even started calling me princess because he says I'm acting like one. I know he's trying to make me feel bad or embarrassed, but honestly, it just makes me feel worse. From where I stand, it feels like they didn't take what my brother said seriously enough, and that's why I'm doing this. I don't want to feel like I'm making a big deal out of nothing, but at the same time, I can't just let this go without some sort of consequence. What my brother said really hurt me, and I need them to understand that. Am I the a-hole? You know what's crazy to me? That the parents don't see that this is a very, very important part to not gloss over. This could potentially ruin not just OP's relationship with his brother, but also his parents' relationship with OP. And the fact that they don't see that and they don't recognize it, and they're even going as far as, oh, princess, kind of mocking him for being hurt about it. It's making me judge the parents really, really hard for how they're handling this. Not gonna lie. Let's see the comments. First comment, not the a-hole. It's not difficult for your parents to explain how hurtful that must have been and how bad you must have felt in that moment. It seems as though your dad is being a little petty. No, he's not being a little petty. He's being extremely petty and an immature man child. Comment continues, your dad is being a little petty and his actions were immature and unwarranted. As the adult, he's supposed to be the bigger person and man up. Eventually, I think this will all die down, but if it doesn't, you might be able to talk to your mom about the whole situation, seeing as your dad's reaction indicates a talk may not result in much progress. As for your brother, I'd have a talk with him one on one as well, just to see where his thoughts are about everything and just to explain how that made you feel and get it off your chest. He's young, so although he understands what he said, he may not understand the full gravity of what that quick moment meant. Hopefully, you can make up with him. Punishment isn't the only solution, even though it may seem satisfying in the moment. I wish you luck. No, I think a punishment is warranted. Not because OP needs to be satisfied for how hurt he's being, but I think what he said, what the kid said, goes far beyond just a simple, oh, you know that hurt me, right? Okay. The point of you being in an argument with your sibling, and when you go back and forth and things escalate and you say something really hurtful like that, is that you said it knowing that it would hurt them in some way. My problem is, I don't think this 12-year-old boy said it with no intention of hurting OP. So just to tell him, oh, it hurt me more than you can imagine, I don't think that cuts it. I think this is something where the parents should really step in and say, hey, you have to understand your brother is as much as part of our family as you are. You guys are equal in our eyes as parents. What you said was completely unwarranted, and there's a consequence for saying it. OP actually responded to this comment. OP says, okay, firstly, wow. I posted this and then went to watch a movie and I had no idea it would get this much attention. Thank you for answering and your advice. I was going to try that, but honestly, I was always more upset with my parents for not sticking up and at least saying something in my defense when he said that. At least if they said something like that, like, don't say stupid lies or anything at all to reinforce that he shouldn't say those things and that they're not true, that's what really upsets me, which is why revenge is against them and not my brother. Another comment says, in both your original post and in this comment, you've done an exceptional job of explaining why you're hurt. If you're not confident in your words or comfortable talking about this with your parents, show them your post and especially this comment. Perhaps that will help them understand why this is important to you. OP replies, I have explained why it upsets me so much. When I did, I started crying and that's when my dad started calling me princess. That's embarrassing, but this is the reason why I've used a throwaway account. Oh, this actually spells out a more severe problem, I think. So you're telling me OP admitted how hurt he was, tried to address his feelings with his parents in the situation to the point where he's so upset he's crying, and his dad's reaction was to mock him and call him a princess? No, no. A comment responded to this and said, I'm speechless. He replied to your vulnerability by putting you down. I'm so sorry. I have no advice to give, just virtual hugs because this sucks. This is so sad. I feel for OP because to want that backup and reinforcements from your parents, if they had said even something as simple as stop stop saying BS, or I guess to a kid. So stop lying would speak volumes on the situation, would help OP, would help the brother understand what he said was definitely not okay. While OP does speak really nicely of Peter and Jane here, his parents, and say, oh, I've never felt that they treat me any differently, that we are all close. I consider them my real parents. I'm starting to doubt whether or not the parents, or at least the father, really thinks that way of OP. Parents are huge a-holes for me in this situation, and OP definitely isn't, which I think it isn't even up to him to decide. Parents have a responsibility to own up to it. And you know what? I think dad needs to stop being a princess. Speaking of confronting your parents, we have another story from Am I the A-hole? Am I the A-hole for telling my father he's no longer allowed to cook for my kids? Um, I'm just thinking, is dad that much of a bad cook that he's banned from cooking for the kids? OP says, my 30-year-old female, father, 60s, shops like a doomsday prepper. Whenever he gets groceries, he buys enough to feed a family of 5. He's also the type to buy food he doesn't plan on eating anytime soon, just in case he craves it. Ooh, I feel this. I have an aunt that's exactly like this, guys. Whenever I go to visit her, I'm telling you, if you want cereal, she has 5 different types. If you need toilet paper, don't worry. She's got 3 bundles of it. And this was pre-pandemic times. So I can only imagine what she buys now, post-pandemic times. I don't know what the thinking is there, and I don't know why some people do this, but it's just the overconsumption of buying a bunch of things. We're talking hand soap, body wash, tissues, napkins, you name it, she's gotten plenty of it. I remember going to her kitchen for the first time as a kid and asking her, oh, can I have cereal or something like that, right? Because I saw a box of cereal. She then turned to me and said, oh, which one? She walked me to her pantry, and I kid you not, she had a walk-in pantry of a plethora of goods. It basically looked like a mini grocery store, which is awesome as a kid because you're looking at it like in Marvel, right? Like, ooh, it's like a candy store. But as I got older, it became more of a source of concern of like, oh, why do you have so many things? And what's worse is she's sent family members huge boxes of it, right? Which is very nice, except when you think about the fact that she's sending you like 5 bottles of the same scented body wash that you don't really use. And it's just a lot of things similarly to that. And then you feel like it's wasteful if you don't use it, but then you also aren't comfortable with using all of it, if that makes sense. Okay. Let's see what OP says. This has always been a problem. When I was younger, my sister and I spent more time at our mom's house and weren't there often enough to eat much. Nowadays, he lives alone, so even less of what he buys is eaten. The result has always been the same. A lot of the food he buys ends up either spoiled or sitting in a freezer until the end of time. We've never eaten anything that's rotten or moldy, but my dad has always refused to listen when I tell him this is bad for his health. My family went to his place for dinner about a week ago. I arrived earlier to help my father out as he planned on making burgers. My husband would come later with our kids, 5-year-old male and 2-year-old female. I had offered to buy some burgers when we decided on them, but my father said he had some at his place. I didn't think about what that could mean until I saw him pull a box of burgers and some cheese from the very bottom of his freezer. As both had clearly been there a while, I checked the expiration dates. The cheese expired in February. I know dairy products can last longer, frozen, but still. The burgers expired in March 2021. So just to give you guys context too, this post is from a day ago, guys. And this man had raw burgers in his freezer from March 2021. 3 years ago? Over 3 years ago? Wait, no, it has to be longer, right? Because he probably bought them pre-expiration date. So they've been sitting around for at least 3.5 years. Oh my. Obi continues, I asked my father if he actually planned on cooking that food. He said yes, as both were frozen and still fine to eat. As a foodie, let me dispel a myth for y'all. Okay. Yes, freezing food does make it last longer, but food can also get frostbitten, guys. There's an expiration date even if you freeze the food. It doesn't last forever. Obi continues, I told him I didn't care how edible he thought the food was. The meat was older than my daughter. That's kind of funny. I shouldn't laugh, but it's kind of funny because one of the kids, okay, Opie's daughter's 2 years old. The burgers were made pre daughter. That is crazy. Okay. Opie continues, we could think about something else to make, or I could have my husband pick up some burgers on his way to my dad's place. But I didn't want my kids eating that. My father got offended. He started going on about how the food was safe and how a dozen nutritionists, aka some guys his girlfriend found on TikTok, had said so. Ah, yes. Yes. When in doubt, refer to the experts from TikTok videos. Yes. Absolutely. What could go wrong? What myths could be spread or misinformation could be spread there? I wonder. Opie continues, he said he couldn't believe I didn't trust him. He continued talking about how dramatic I was being for a while. I was very upset at the way he responded. Finally, I said, my kids aren't eating that, and I don't want you cooking for them again. Either husband's name buys the burgers, or we're not staying for dinner. My husband ended up buying the burgers. We ate them peacefully, and no one fought in front of the kids. The next day, my father told me he was upset by what I said. He said he felt offended that I accused him of putting his grandchildren in danger like that. I told him that wasn't my intention. I just didn't want to feed my kids 3-year-old meat, and he refused to listen to me. My dad's still insisting I'm being dramatic. My husband is completely on my side, but thinks forbidding my father from cooking for our children might have been a little too much. Am I the a-hole? No, you are not. First off, as a host, wouldn't you theoretically just want to provide the freshest possible food that you can within your means, within a reasonable time frame for your family? And also, you know what? From what I hear about the father, I would be a little bit concerned past the meat just being expired. I'll be concerned that it's being exposed and contaminated because you're telling me if he reached for the frozen cheese and burgers from the bottom of the fridge in the same place, you're telling me you stored cheese and raw meat in the same place? That makes me question kind of what his food hygiene is like. Is he also storing raw chicken meat on top of the raw beef, or what's going there? He doesn't sound like the most meticulous person in the kitchen, so to speak. Although I am a little biased, I have to admit, guys, the very few times I've been food poisoned have all been with burgers. So when I tell you I still am iffy about eating burgers, ordering burgers at restaurants or eating out with it, I don't really trust burgers prepared by other people. Like, I'm okay if it's a family barbecue or at home making burgers, I'll eat those. I just no longer really trust burgers that I order out from because of my multiple instances where I've had burgers and they were just not prepared hygienically and cooked well. I have a little bias. I don't think OP is going too far because with the kids being so young as well, I think it's fine for her to say, hey, dad, I just don't trust your food cutting practices. No personal offense to you, but if we're going to be feeding my kids these things, this is my ground rule. Either we buy the ingredients or we cook. Because even then, I don't like how the father reacted. And I think it makes him a bit of an a-hole as well, because he basically turned it into a trust thing when it was more of a food hygiene thing. Well, OP just wants her kids to not eat old or contaminated food. And I'm also questioning the nutritional value of food's been there for that long. Meanwhile, the father is just offended, saying, oh, how could you think I was poisoning my own grandkids? It's not that deep, dude. Have better food practices if you're going to be preparing food for other people, especially your grandkids who are young and basically toddlers. First comment, not that whole, it's a question of trust. Food hoarders are gross and have no issues harming other people in serving rotten food. The burgers are probably fine, but next time, the eggs, chicken, etc. might not be. Saying, quote, please don't serve my very young children expired food is reasonable. Him getting upset about that would imply he's fine with serving them bad stuff when you're not around. Yeah. Opie says, that's my point. If I don't want this to keep happening, I can't allow it to. Kudos to Opie for honestly taking accountability of this situation and putting her foot down. Because I think she highlights an important part. Just sparing the father's feelings in this could potentially harm her kids on the next meal. So sorry that dad's feelings are hurt, but he should get his act together if he wants to cook for the family. Because he needs to show that they could trust him with their meals. Another comment, not the a-hole. I would eat burgers that have been sitting in the freezer for a year or two. Yeah, probably nothing wrong with them in my eyes. Would I serve them to someone else? On the very, very rare off occasion they thawed and refroze? Probably not. Yeah. See, I'm okay with burgers being in the freezer for a few months, but personal preference, if I'm preparing for other people, I'm trying to get them the freshest food I can within my means. Like I'm trying to impress them with my food, guys. You know, I'm not trying to test the probability of them being food poisoned with my food. And which is kind of what it feels like father is doing here. The fact that he doesn't recognize it as an issue is the problem for me. I hope that OP is able to get to a common ground with the dad and eventually he stops being a doomsday prepper. Because not only is it very wasteful, it's probably wasteful financially as well. And with all that food, it's just someone's got to eat it, but not the kids and not to your daughter's family. We've gotten a lot of surprises today, guys, from surprises from an ex to being sprayed by a skunk to now doomsday prepping by the dad. It's been a chaotic episode, but I hope you guys have enjoyed all of these stories. If you agree with me or disagree with me, let me know in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one.